Okay, Angie. Okay. Angie, you going to a speaking engagement or we doing a call? Okay, hold on. Let me pull up this Word document. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hold on, let me see something. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That Mila, that sounded calm, girl. You almost put me to sleep. That must have been.
Good morning. Is that better?
Good morning. What, Marsha on here? Tangle 9 or 4? Tangle 9 or 4. Alyssa, I am so glad to see you, Alyssa. I am so glad to see you. Gosh. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, y'all. We have somebody that's new to y'all, but not new to me. Kayla, what I'm gonna have you come on here and do is I'm gonna have you take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, where you live, where you're at on your journey, and what made you decide to join us. All good, Danielle.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi guys, I'm Kayla. I currently reside in Sugar Land, Texas. I am a recent implant from Wisconsin, where I was originally born and raised. I met Brianna last year. I think it was maybe about July, was our first engagement.
It was before.
What was that?
Was it before? Was it July? I thought it was before then, but okay.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look back at my notes. Anyway, Brie has helped me so much tremendously from the first time that I met her. But I guess what brought me back here today is I feel like I've kind of gotten back to old patterns, behaviors. And I don't know about y'all, but when I feel like it's almost like I have to be bent backwards before I'm like, oh crap, help doing this, and I can't do it on my own. And so that's what brought me back here today. But I am a digital marketer by trade, turned canna enthusiast. So I run a couple of businesses that are back in Wisconsin. I have 4 retail stores, a distribution center, and then I manufacture my own hemp products. So yeah, I have a lot of fun with what I do. And I think I answered all the questions.
Yeah, you answered all the questions perfectly. And I am so excited to have you here. I'm glad that you joined us. I do like when I get a chance, I want to talk to you about your specific goals because we have some other things going on as well. But no, I'm so happy that you're here, Kayla. So
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here as well. And I apologize for this week. I do have my 3 littles. So I've got my 2-year-old twins. If I have to pop off video for a second, I promise I'll be right back.
You're good. Little legs. Little
Yeah.
legs. You got some twins.
Super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. They're gonna love you because I love you. And
I love you too, girl. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm excited. Sweating already.
Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Man, y'all look good this morning, man. Y'all look good. Y'all look good. What a fucking week, y'all. What a week. What a week, man. This has been the craziest week in the community that I have ever experienced. Natalie, don't be looking like that, man. Please do not look like that. This has been a week, huh? For everybody else that's been in the community for a minute now, right? This has been a week. This has been a week, but we still here. We still here. We getting to the money. We getting to the, hey, man, happy pocket full of money day. I do want to say, with everything that's going on, I'm a problem solver, and there are going to be some standards that go into I don't know if you guys have seen the guidebook yet, but I'm still working on it. It's not perfect yet, but I'm still working on it. And there are going to be standards that are in there. And if those standards aren't met, people will automatically, like, it's all love, but it's got to go. Like, you got to go. And when you get a chance, when I get those standards in there, a few of them are going to be, if you don't have goals after a certain point in this group, we're gonna have to figure something out. You're gonna have to, this may not be for you. Because whenever we don't have goals, we've had this conversation before and we'll have it again, we start to use our energy in destructive ways. If I see that people in here aren't committed to their growth in some way, shape, or form, whether that be the Nike Run Miles, 75 Hard, your own promise, or staying consistent with something, the self-image, something, then yeah, we're gonna have to have some standards around here. All right, y'all. So today we are going to be talking about a happy pocket full of money. And last week, as y'all know, the conversation was amazing. And I feel like I didn't want nobody else to read, but Angie reads so good, y'all. Angie reads so good. So Angie's going to be the one really taking over for today's call with the happy pocket full of money. Angie.
Yes, I had wanted to offer too, because this chapter that I want to read is chapter 14. So for anybody who has the book, or even if you don't have the book, since I'm going to read it, you can hear it here. But if you don't have the book, please take out your notes, your notebook, so you could take notes, put your thoughts down while I'm reading. Chapter 14 is a short chapter. I would love to read this, and then we talk about purpose. That's what this chapter is on. And the timing of this chapter couldn't have been more perfect for me, as I figure out some of the things that I want to do. So for chapter 14, Happy Pocket Full of Money, what is your purpose? Your purpose is separate from your goals. What is your purpose? Why are you here? Only by knowing and declaring your purpose and holding it high every day can you move forward quickly in the right direction for you and have a great time doing so. The right question is, why did you choose to come here to Earth? Where did you get your purpose? Consider this suggestion. You have free will. When did this free will start? Some people think it starts when they are born. They believe that they did not have a choice whether or not to be born, but once they are here, they have free will to make choices in their lives. Others believe that their free will is eternal and that it starts even before they are born. That is not a strange idea. Your soul is eternal. Your eyes tell you that life starts when you are born, but something deeper tells you that this may not be the real beginning. Purpose or destiny is what you, yourself or soul, chose to come do here on Earth. A choice based on your soul's attributes and wishes. And the circumstances and location you are born in are perfect for you to collect the necessary tools to fulfill your chosen purpose were you to go through life with such an awareness. That is why your unique purpose feels so good once you find it. That is why it gives you so much joy doing it, because you chose it a long time ago. It is what you came here to do. Unfortunately, many people do not fulfill their purpose, largely because of the way our society and educational system is structured. Yet you can easily fulfill yours if you choose to. First, find your purpose by spending some quiet time thinking about what makes you feel good, what you have a passion for. Do not think of job descriptions or careers. Drop all those labels society has taught you to believe in. They are the number one reason why people do not find their purpose. Just ask yourself, what am I happy doing? It may be spending time with butterflies, or flying around the world making deals, or cooking, or speaking to people or anything else. Once you find your purpose, envision it, intend it, and make goals that move you toward it to a point where you will be working as a career in your discovered purpose. For example, imagine that your purpose is studying butterflies and you are now working unhappily in a non-butterfly related job. Do not despair. Start by getting books and finding people in the butterfly field. Find out all you can, then start making goals and choices that will eventually take you out into a position that is butterfly related. Do not worry about money and forget about all the other little worries you may start having. They will sort themselves out as long as you do not worry. And you will be very happy and successful once you work in your destiny or purpose, a destiny that you yourself chose before you were born here on earth. Your self-satisfaction will also rise, and you will be making an optimal contribution to the world at large. Now, there's 2 more pages after that, which is like some direction on it, but I want to pause right here and just kind of talk a little bit, if people want to raise their hand, on if you know your purpose and if you feel that what you're doing is your purpose. And if it isn't, what kind of thoughts are you having on why you're doing something that's not your purpose? Like what things are holding you back, or what are your fears? So I just wanted to have a conversation about that. So if anybody wants to raise your hands, I'll even start. If anybody wants to take some time to think about it. For me, what struck me when I read this chapter and why I wanted to share it was because I connected to the information that was being presented in it. Like, I have a lot of work to do now that I've read this chapter and I'm understanding it in the way that I'm understanding it. Coming into this world, you get so many messages as a child about what you should do and people telling you how to live, and you collect all these different paradigms from your family, your parents. Then when you get into school and work, you get paradigms from those areas. And eventually you'll get to a point in your life where you're looking around like, what am I doing? Like, you're just like operating off of this system that was given to you. And so I think it's very important to get to a point where you go, wait a minute, what exactly is it that I want for myself? And for some people, you don't know, and that's okay. All this information that you've been getting from childhood, all these years, from all these people that probably sounded like they had all the answers, they knew all the things, who wouldn't know exactly what they want? So that's why this chapter is important to me, because it's saying, you know, you have your own free will to make choices. The things that you got from those periods in your life, you can literally start to shed them and sit down and say, what exactly is it that I want for my own self? And that's exactly what I'm doing. I've been in education, which I love, for over 25 years. But am I doing the thing that I feel is my purpose? No, I'm not. And so I even have to take out my pen and paper. And thankfully, the vision phase that I'm in is really helping me get there and start to develop what it is that I truly want to do in my life. And so some of my fears is around shedding what I've been conditioned to believe all these years. That's one of the biggest things that I have to do. I don't know if I have a worry about the money, but I'm going to shed that. But I think the biggest thing is that I've been holding on to something for so long, but I'm ready to let those things go. So I wanted us all to just have a conversation about purpose, because I think it's very, very important in our growth. Taisha?
You gonna skip me?
Hand up, sorry.
Hold on, you gotta say, dang, coach. Put me in, coach.
Privileges.
Listen, okay. Angie, I love that you went to this chapter, because you are absolutely right, man. This purpose is extremely important. And I think figuring out your purpose and what you're here to do is probably the most important thing for us to be more intentional throughout our days and to just have something to grow towards. Have something to grow towards. Nora's in the waiting room. I see Nora in here. Okay, somebody's messaging me on the side about that. So yes, I do want to say that I do think I chose my path. When you were talking earlier, I do think that I chose my path. I think that I chose exactly what I needed to evolve being here to do what I needed to do. And I had that realization when I had my very first spiritual awakening. I was like, dang, I went through everything that I went through, went down to the stuff with my mom, my dad, my grandmother, all of that, even down to being in the military. I chose basically all of those different things. But like you said, if you love butterflies, right? Doing the butterflies and being the best at the butterflies is extremely important. And I remember somebody was talking about, I can't get paid cooking. And I was watching something that said this, and somebody was like, well, tell Martha Stewart that. Tell Martha Stewart that you can't get paid cooking, that like you can be the best at whatever it is we do, man. So I love this conversation. I definitely feel that I am walking in my purpose. I feel like my purpose is to help people expand their conscious level of awareness in this world, down to the people in the community, but even the people that I meet in my day-to-day life. That's just what I do. That's what I love to do. Those are what most of my conversations are about. So
Thank you for saying that and bringing up the butterflies part, because that really stuck with me. How we'll say, oh, I'm not going to be able to get paid for drawing or butterflies. And then there's people out here in science that are doing that with butterflies all day long, where they want to be and getting paid for it. So it's possible. Beekeepers, this is why in that chapter they say shed all those titles, because if you're in school, all you hearing is doctor and lawyer and these types of things, and you don't hear things that would connect to your actual purpose. And so that's how the system can get in the way of building our purpose. So just erase those things and start off with a fresh, clean piece of paper. And if butterflies is it, put them butterflies down and start getting that information. Thank you.
can I say one last thing?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you choose is not for money. There are so many
Exactly.
different ways to earn money, multiple sources of income. Millionaires, billionaires have multiple sources of income. What you do for a living, what you do for your purpose gives you life.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, I just want to say that part.
Yeah, that's why people say they do what they love. Like they answer it that way. I do what I love for a living. Taisha? Good morning, girl. There
Good
you
morning. Thanks for helping.
go.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that the interesting thing about purpose is I think there can be sometimes people think it has to be one thing, one big obvious thing. And I think that's where a lot of folks go wrong, is because they're looking for some sign to fall out of the sky to say, hey, you, this is your purpose. And I don't think it really works that way. I think you can have, or I know you can have more than purpose. Some of what your purposes are in this life are going to feel very natural to you. They're going to feel really good. They're going to feel like you were made for it. There are going to be other things that are going to come natural to you that maybe not be so easy and maybe not feel good, but you were called to do that particular thing. So for example, let's say you're tired of teaching, but that is a service that you have been called to do because there's something about you that makes your voice and your skill set necessary to serve in that way. That doesn't stop you from pursuing the other purposes that you have that might feel better to you. But I think we also are beings of service. And I think that making sure that we're not only just fulfilling our own inner desires, but the good that we do for the world and the universe around us, I think that those things kind of need to go hand in hand. So sometimes our purpose doesn't always feel like what we want to do, but it is what we need to do and what we're called to do. And I just wanted to say that. It was on my spirit to say that. And I think that one of the really good thing about life and growth and evolution is that we don't have to stay stagnant, right? And so you could fulfill your purpose for some part of your life or a chapter in your life at 20. And you may have another purpose that you're going to fill in the next chapter of your life and the next chapter of your life. So it's kind of like self-development, right? You never get to a place of self-development where you're finished. You're never finished.
Yeah.
You're always developing. You're always growing. You're always learning. And if at any point in time you think that you have stopped or that you figured it out, then you've made a mistake, right? We're always on a path of growth. And so as long as we're always on a path of growth, I think that purpose also grows and evolves as well. So I just want to make sure that we are opening our minds, because I think this chapter is really important and can be applied in such a larger magnitude. I just want to make sure that we have our minds open as we absorb like the idea and the concept of purpose.
Yes, definitely. And that while you was talking, it made me think back to the part where he says, because it's by David Cameron, he says to get books and information and also be around people. And so doing that definitely expands our mind on what our purpose can be. You have these innate feelings and they can go in different directions, and then getting in tune with ourselves and knowing how to respond to like what is really calling us and driving us in each step of the way. So I love how you said that too. Thank you so much. Miriam. Good morning.
Good morning. Such an amazing call. I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of reading, a lot of listening. And something that I really love that I heard is that I remember when we had that call about money, we were like, what is money to us? What does it mean to, like, well, are we scared to let money go? And I listened to, what's her name? Courtney, I think her name's Courtney Sanders. And she was talking about like, why are we so scared of like losing money, of investing money in certain things? And we act like money is finite, like it's just gonna suddenly vanish and leave us, right? Like we're not gonna be able to make more money. We're not gonna be able to, like, we act, and I acted as if like, oh my God, if I spend this $200 on this, it's never gonna come back. She's like, when in reality, they make money, they print money every day. They print money every single day. It is not finite. It is not a natural resource that is just like, oh, it's up and done. We can actually make money, and how money was actually created to represent value, value in instead of trading. So we find our purpose because it is what we love to do. It is what people see that is like enlightening to us. If we give a value to that, people will pay money for it. That is why Martha Stewart in cooking, and simple, not even simple, because cooking is not that simple, but it is fun. She was able to create value that's getting paid for what she was offering. And I really like that, because it was just making me think like, all I need to do is create more value. But in order to create value, I must do what I love, which is my purpose. And I thought my past understanding of purpose was trying to figure out, like, what can I be good at? What can I be good at? It is not what I can be good at, but it's what I have been good at. What challenges have I faced that I've overcome? And instead of looking at them like, oh, you guys, I got abandoned at 4 months pregnant and like changing the story. How did I heal from being left at 4 months pregnant? How can I give that to women to empower them and add value into their life and how they're going to progress? Thus, the consequence will be providing value to these women who just needed a redirection to create, my source of income. But I was trying to say, I need to learn something. So if that made sense, but I've just been loving this journey. I love that part of the book. It's so true. We have to find our purpose, but sometimes our purpose is within the adversities that we faced and how we overcame them, instead of just looking at them as like, this is what I went through. It's like, okay, sit down, and what did you learn from that? And how can that help others? And even just listening to people, like now I'm really listening to, Miriam, you're so good at that. Oh my gosh, I needed that. What is it that I provided when people are saying that to me? And that really will show me, you know, what my purpose is, instead of having to go and be searching for it. Just listen. But that's my morning thought.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You know what brought to mind when I listened to Sarah Jakes Roberts talk about how at the beginning what she had been through in her life was something that was bringing shame to her and all these negative feelings, until she realized, wait a minute, this adversity, like you said, is something that I can use to my benefit. And so that's why personal development is so important in finding our purpose. And also too, you brought up some thoughts about, I didn't finish chapter 1, but I started it, and it was talking about how money is value and how we put the value on the money. It's really an illusion. And so I can't wait till we talk about that chapter, but thank you. That was a lot of information, Miriam. You was covering all the bases. Thank you. Christy.
Hey, girl. Well, I absolutely love what Miriam said, and it was in line with what I was going to say too about purpose. My purpose ties into my vision, obviously, and I think that's the case for many. But Miriam, you are so right when you talk about the adversity and having to go through it in order for you to realize that this is what you want to do. And y'all know I love talking about money and just financial literacy and being smart with money and investing in all of these things. I love talking about money. I love to see people win and make smart decisions when it comes to money. I know that is my purpose. I've started at a young age with, like, I'm not going to say obsession, but I started at a young age where I knew I didn't want to struggle with money, and I started at a young age. We can talk about that at a later time, but at some point through my investments and everything that I was doing, there came a point where I faced adversity and I lost everything that I invested just off of my decisions, and that did not shake me. I did not waver. I still knew that at the end of the day, regardless of my little 6-month hiccup and all, I knew what I needed to do. But just to go into what my purpose is and answer your question, Angie, my purpose is to strengthen the economy of the world, not just the US, of the world. Some of y'all know I want my foundations. Some of y'all know this already, and I'd love for it to be in different parts of the world. So many people think just one area and strengthening where you came from, and that's not a thought for me. It's just, if the world is good, we are all good, right? I want to be able to go into another country and know that the economy is impeccable and where it needs to be, right? And with that comes serving and helping people have developed the same mindset and also break those financial or the generational curses that they face and become more comfortable with money. As I get older, as I experience people, I realize that money, people are so afraid of money, and I want to change that. I want everyone across the world to just be comfortable with money and be smart with money, because we are rich. There is money all around us, but that's my purpose. Strengthen the economy of the world.
I love that, Christy, because he gets a little bit into when we find our purpose, how that contributes to the overall world that we're all living in. And that's ultimately what we want to do. And I love that you're talking about getting comfortable with talking about money, because from different ideas that we may have heard, people aren't comfortable talking about money. But when you realize that money can be used to amplify impact, and you look at it from that perspective, you can be comfortable with talking about money and how we can use money to contribute to what we want this world to look like. So I'm so glad you talked about it in that global way, because that's very important. I want to be in a world like that. And I want to contribute to that. Thank you, Christy. Emily, outdoors with the coat on, girl. She got the hat on too. It's cold
still
out
40,
there.
still 40
Ooh.
degrees.
Oh my goodness.
But it's gonna be 60 the rest of this week, and then it begins.
That's better.
Yeah. Christy, when you talk about money and like your love for it, it's like it's very obvious, and it makes me like love the topic even more. So it's super cool. So with one of the Nike training app keeps going. One of the things that I noticed about purpose is that for some people that there possibly might be a common theme going on throughout your life, that it kind of like directs you towards that kind of platform or arena. The one thing that so with my kids book, I'm picking at the kids book lane to go down and create kids books. And you know, when I look back, there's been a common theme around kids. I initially went to college to be a gym teacher, and then I switched to like more like fitness for adults. And then a few years later, I almost moved back to Minnesota to open up a indoor basketball court for kids to help them learn the game of basketball and also the game of life. And then, you know, I didn't choose that route. But I was like 2 years of planning that. And then, you know, you go back to your regular kind of things. And now I'm in this section of kids books. So it's like, I wanted to share that. For me, might not be for everybody, but there's been this common theme. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go the kid route. And the thing that the overarching like purpose for me is to help raise consciousness and well-being. And I just remember going through this life, and I'm sure many of you too, when you're like reading things like Happy Pocket Full of Money, for example, it's like, why didn't I get taught this when I was 7? And it's just so I want to like be able to teach things like the stuff in Happy Pocket Full of Money, but in like a, you know, fun way for kids that they'll understand. And so yeah, I just wanted to share that there might be a common theme that you have. So taking a look at that. And the last thing I wanted to say for me is I think I possibly was avoiding the kids route because like I don't have kids, you guys, and I don't want kids. I was the youngest sibling. I didn't babysit. I don't know where this is coming from. I spent most of my adult life away from my nieces and nephews because I wasn't in Minnesota. So it's kind of like random, but I'm just listening and following. So sometimes it might not make sense, but if it's like speaking to you, then there's something that makes sense that you might not know about yet. So those are the things I wanted to share.
Thank you for that, Emily. Definitely, if you look back on your life and examine it, like when you take that quiet moment, like he suggests, that's where that would probably show up. It could show up, and you'll see that common thing. Like, yeah, maybe I didn't have it. You said you were doing basketball at first, but your common theme ended up being kids. You wanted to impact and give when it came to kids, and so you saw that pattern. I'm going to sit back and do that for myself because there's certain things that I think there's things I don't realize that if I go back a little bit, I'll go, wait a minute, this always was mine. So I can't wait to get off here so I can do that. Now that she just said that, because wait a minute, something did pop in my head when I first heard her talking about it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I did do that when I was very young. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for that, Emily.
What is it, Angie? What is it?
Oh, wow, y'all. I was pregnant with my 3rd child at 18 years old, living in a shelter, a homeless shelter. And there were girls who were graduating from the homeless, when you would graduate when you got your housing. And I had 2 toddlers and pregnant with my 3rd child. They asked me to do the graduation speech. That was the first time I ever stood in front of people and talked. I was 18 years old. Those ladies, this is hitting me right now.
Wow, Angie. Angie.
be careful how you talk to yourself in your mind, because you get so hung up on all the terrible things that you've been through and you could forget gems. Those ladies saw something in me, and I was the one, they only allowed one person to be in there with more than one child, and that was me. So I was the only person in there. They didn't want a lot of girls in there with a lot of kids, I guess, you know. And they saw that in me that young to have me do that graduation speech. And I wonder if that company is still a corporation, organization is still around, because I would love to reach back out with them. Wow, wouldn't that be something? So thank you for sharing that, Emily, because I need to go back. I need to go back and see that for myself and my own purpose. That's crazy. Wow. Whew. Myla, take it away.
Wow, Angie, I got chills hearing that.
Me too.
Whew, I feel like you've been living in your purpose for way longer than you even realize.
Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I wanted to what Miriam said about value, that kind of resonated with me, because I feel like when we kind of find or searching for our purpose or find our purpose, sometimes we ignore it because we're not placing enough value on it, right? So I think it is very, like, when you're living in your purpose and like all the other stuff that kind of comes with that, like, you know, is it going to work out? Like, am I, you know, structure my lifestyle, and am I going to make money and all that stuff? But I think once you like place your own value on your purpose, it becomes that much stronger, and you have much, it generates, you know, much more action into living in that purpose. So I just kind of wanted to speak on that, because I didn't think about that. I mean, I think I felt that, but I like Miriam saying the words value and attaching it to it just kind of like really aligned with that correlation. But as far as me and my purpose, I still evolving, you know, really discovering it and expanding on it. But I feel like a big part of my purpose is multiple forms of artistic creation and providing joy and fulfillment for other people with that. And yeah, I'm definitely expounding on it now, and I just see so much growing from that, and I get so much fulfillment with it. So it feels great.
Yeah, and we feel it. I feel it. You know, when Myla was always posting her self at Planet Fitness working out, and then talking about her salad dressing, I'm just like, you've always been like pursuing your passions in my eyes. And so I'm not surprised, and your energy comes off to where you want to see other people feel fulfilled. So
Absolutely.
you're definitely walking in your purpose, Myla. I
Thank
love
you.
it. Deb.
This is so in alignment. I was just reading last night the book A Radical Awakening, and she's talking about purpose and how that purpose and life are inextricable, and that purpose is our presence, being present in our life. And so our purpose, I think, is to live in love and joy. That's kind of and people are drawn to the light. Like each one of you who just spoke about your purpose, the light is so magnetic. So being to like the puzzle of finding our purpose is really not a puzzle. Like if we're connected to being in the present moment and in our deepest self, that's just who we are, and our presence becomes very apparent. And Christy, I love the way you talked about money, because it charged it up in my mind. And I always think of money as it's really what we have decided we use to exchange value. Value is purpose brings value. And so money, we've decided, is how we exchange value. So like in educating the world about money is the gift of everybody knowing their value and bringing their value and sharing their value. It's massive, which is a word I've been saying a lot lately. So for me, creativity is, like you said, Myla, I recognize that I have been creative my whole life. I mean, we're all creative. We're literally creating cells every day. We all create all the time. But so my purpose is to generate joy and love and inspire other people to see that in themselves, like the magnificence of each of us. That's what I want to manifest. That's what I do manifest when I am in my present moment and purpose. And purpose is not necessarily a job. Like I worked as a nurse and I loved it. I loved science and people and all, but I can see in looking back and feedback that I got that a lot of my purpose had nothing to do with, like, you know, taking care of the people because of their illness. It was the nurturing that you could bring into that circumstance and the love and joy that you could express when you're taking care of somebody. So, and I got money to do it. You know, it's like in our purpose, money comes, but it's not necessarily a job. And Angie, yeah, I can't wait for your TED Talk. I'm excited to see that.
Y'all be putting the pressure on.
No pressure. No. I tried to take note. I think, this is the other thing. Nature, I learned from nature, right? And everything has a purpose. We call it purpose. Like the bees know to go and pollinate the flowers. And because they're living in their purpose, then all the fruit is grown. And yeah. And that's when I see like a flower blooming, to me, that's a flower expressing joy and love because they're expressing their life. And yeah, I mean, I could go on. All right, that's it.
I wouldn't have mind, Deb, when you talking about nurturing, like getting to that is how like you could do different things. Like because you've identified the nurturing, that's where, you know, somebody may be in the medical field or they may be in the daycare field or it's because they identify that nurture as a purpose. And so that's how it can transform and not be this one single thing too. And, you know, people be doing different things, but it's still rooted in their purpose. I love that you share that because I like how that now that it's mapped in my mind that way, that my purpose doesn't necessarily look like this one particular thing. And I think that goes back to what Taisha was saying too.
Yes, definitely, definitely multi-purpose. And one image that came to my mind is we've all seen it, a flower that grows up through the concrete in a sidewalk. I love that and all the metaphors that brings. That flower is living its purpose, even in the most desolate place. We can, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Deb. Sydney, you walked by a tree, but I wasn't expecting it because the sky is so clear and blue. You walked by a tree and I was about to go, what's that over her head? That tree was thick.
Yeah, we got a ton of palm trees and things like that. You've probably seen it in Ocotillo because we got a bunch of them out here. But yeah, I love the trees. I actually touch every plant that I walk next to because I believe they're storing energy. Exactly. And some are prickly, some are super soft, some are you wouldn't even expect. So if you guys can do that, touch every plant, touch every tree just to quickly snatch up that energy. Good morning. Everything here, if you're on that spiritual, faithful path, I gotta say, top tier is enlightenment. And every time I come here, Angie, you brought me to tears. Like I'm sitting here like holding back tears. I'm like, it's that enlightenment phase. And if you're there, stay there. Don't lower your levels, stay there. But I wanted to bring up my purpose. And something a mom once told me, she told me a mother to one is a mother to all. And I think a lot of us have been blessed. You know, we're all strong women here. We've got strong Malik too. And I don't know if there's any new guys joining, but being a strong mom has always been great. It's been, I mean, I was called to be a mother at a young age. And I've heard every joke in the book from, you know, being from Utah, it's kind of like what it is out there. And with my ex being younger than me, I've heard every joke about that. And people talking like my kids, like I had them prematurely, but I say no, hell no. God does not make mistakes. And I have been able to love, live, and grow with them. And I know I have raised 3 boys. They just asked me their teenage stage. They asked me like 2 weeks ago, Mom, can we say a bad word? And I cuss like a trucker. I will tell you that. And I was like, sure, sure. I was like, go ahead and say it. They wouldn't. But because I have an overwhelming amount of love from them, and because I've been young and grown up with them, I've been able to connect with their age group.
There it is.
Yeah. So I have seen how I have touched the lives of young boys on our football teams, and young girls are now starting to flow in with what we're doing nowadays with girls flag football. And also all of my sideline girls that were cheerleaders and stuff like that. I've always had an eye for the underdog, for the kid that may have a problem. And I'd always, being a business manager, I would read over their medical issues. And a lot of parents, a lot of moms or dads were afraid to say that their kid had ADHD, that they had certain health concerns that could possibly affect the way that they were coached. And so I would make sure that I would read over what their health concern was at the time. One of my favorite boys I'm going to bring up is Eli Hill. He's a kid that's been diagnosed by doctors with ADHD. And with him at a young age, I quickly told my baby father, who was the head coach, I was like, look, he's been diagnosed with ADHD. He's a freaking star athlete. He's a quarterback. School is maybe not his thing, but let him master football at a young age. And he was like 5, right? And I got to watch and nurture him from a young age, the way, his mother's his greatest supporter. But having just one outside person believe in you means the world to just that one person sometimes. And so believing in a ton of different people it's going to come back tenfold. And so my purpose is to definitely stick with the youth, which Emily, I love that you brought up the children's book and that being your purpose, because seriously, adults, we cannot help them unless they help themselves. That's my mindset nowadays. Like, I can't help you. Like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to help yourself first. The youth and Christy, I hope you find a way to break it down for the kids, because if we start with them, that's generational health, good wealth that we are leaving for our grandbabies. And that's ultimately a goal. It's going to happen one day. So yeah, inspiring the youth to stay on course, because if we can have them awaken at a young age, there's so much we can do and so much that they can accomplish with protecting our planet and all of the good shit that we have to absorb here. So yeah. Anyways, that is it. I love you guys.
Sydney, you gave me all the good feelings, okay? You got to be protected in here because you understand breaking that generational cycle and doing it very early in life with the kids. And I'm so glad to see so many people in here on that same mindset, because that's really where it's going to happen. With the adults, like you said, they have to want it for themselves, but the kids, our responsibility is to help them because they need us to help them. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Brianna.
I was just going to say, the past 2 years, I've been a chronic cannabis smoker. Okay. They made it legal in my state. Forgive me. But now, since joining Bree, all praise to God.
Don't say that no more.
Thank you. I'm not tempted to touch anymore. And I just got to say thank you guys, because you're on this journey with me, and your spirit, your heart is what keeps me coming back. So thank you. Stay the course.
Right, I thought she said I had been. I don't know, but you better watch those words.
Hey,
Coach gonna get you.
Hey, Angie. Hey, watch the words, y'all.
Definitely.
Man, I just want to say, number one, I love y'all. Like, I don't know if you guys understand. I understand that I'm a big part of this puzzle, but coming on here and being able to hear y'all, and like I needed to hear everything that everybody said this morning, not necessarily for me, but to know that the direction that I am heading in is like I'm seeing growth in damn near everybody, especially everybody that's actually doing some work. If only y'all could see it. I wish I could pull up some calls from like 2-3 months ago of people that are talking now. It's different. The energy is different. The radiance of the aura is different. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch the magic that just happens in this group. And wow, there was something I believe Miriam said about the people around you. What do they say you're good at? Something I did before I started coaching, right? I asked people I trust. You can't ask everybody, okay? I asked the people I trust. I said, what am I good at that most people aren't? And the feedback that I got was like, wow. I believe it was like non-judgmental communication, inspiring, all of these different things. And I was like, okay, I took that. So that is a great thing for you to do, is go and ask people that you trust, what is something that I'm good at that most people aren't? Do that. It's a great thing to do. And then there was another thing that said, I don't know who said it, but your gifts can birth other gifts. So a lot of people, they worry about money, or where's the money going to come from, this, that like if you focus on your path, because at the end of the day, we do have to kind of choose a path, because that's where that joy, that love, that excitement, that passion, like Christy has a direction, Emily has a direction, Danielle has a direction, that passion for what you do, it comes from knowing where I'm headed, right? But those gifts will birth other gifts. You may not know what those gifts are going to be. You may not. You don't know what's going to come birth from those things. So Eric Thomas talks about that as well. And then also making a choice when it comes to, you know, how it talked about in the book, loving what you do. I love to work out, but I also love to speak. I love to inspire, right? I had to choose one, y'all. I love to work out. I always have, but I still had to choose one. I loved both, but that split energy of trying to do two things at once is unhealthy. It's what indecision causes disintegration, y'all. So I chose a path. I love both. I still work out. I still get to do that all the time, but I chose a path. And then when Deb, y'all, I had a one-on-one conversation with Deb yesterday. Mind you, the one-on-one was for Deb, y'all. I can't even see Deb right now because I got it on the full screen and all I see is Angie. But Deb, nurturing, yes, that's something that I don't really have, y'all, is the nurturing aspect. But Deb was so nurturing in that call yesterday. Deb, whenever I have my facility, Deb, please come and nurture these people. When I had taken all those pills and I was in ICU, if Deb is somebody I would have wanted to have by my bedside. Okay. I know I'm not the one supposed to be by the bedside. I'll be like, get your ass up. You know, good and not goddamn well. You don't even want to leave here acting a fool, right? It's somebody like Deb that I need to be by my bedside and be like, well, look, honey, you know, it could be like just real deal. I remember this nurse when they had me like taking some kind of charcoal or something, and I don't remember much from that day because I was blacked out. I was in and out. I don't even remember being in the ICU. I don't know how I got there. They gave me some charcoal stuff, and this woman said, "You need to stop trying to commit suicide because God said it's not time for you to go yet. So just stop." So yes, Deb, please, when I have this facility, I need you there nurturing these people because I don't have it. Matter of fact, with that being said, my vision is so big, y'all. I'm gonna need many people from this community to step up in y'all's purpose because it's gonna be big, right? It's gonna be big, and yeah, teamwork make the dream work. And I want to say I love y'all. Okay.
Thank you. Who's that? Miriam? Okay, because I see Sydney's hand up. Okay, yeah, Miriam.
All right. I love it. So to what coach said, Bree, when you said ask people, honestly, if in the moment that people are giving you feedback and they tell you, like when me, I remember everybody telling me, you need to be a speaker, you need to come like, and I'm literally like, no, Miriam, you hold the microphone, you're better at talking. And I would be like, no. In that moment, when you have that split second of saying no to what the good feedback, what people see in you, borrow, I want you to stop and borrow their belief. I want you to borrow their belief until you start to believe it yourself, because if others are seeing it, it is there. It is there. Use it to empower you to understand, because I want to tell the community as a whole to thank you so much, because you allowed me to borrow your belief that I am a queen, that I am capable and I'm achieving in just being, you know, and I am stepping into it. So I've been MIA because I've been building my coaching website and my course and everything that's going on. So I've just had to honestly be off. But I wanted to say that borrow their belief, believe in what their belief in you until it becomes your reality. And know that your purpose is your superpower. Your purpose is your superpower. And Deb, I can definitely see that your superpower is nurturing, is love. Like I could feel it since the moment that I got on these calls. Was it December? I just felt it through I just need a hug from Deb. But yes, and then I think the last thing for me is know that defining one, like even if you're like, I want to be a children's author, right? In you helping those children are connected to their parents. Their parents are connected to people. Do not think that defining your niche, defining your purpose in one thing does not mean that you're not going to be able to help everyone. Because I think the biggest mistake that I had was thinking I want to help everyone, but trying to open up to everybody. But in picking my specific people, my purpose, even if it's helping women elevate to a different mindset, helping those women elevate as a consequence will help everybody that they come in contact to elevate. So a leader needs to learn to teach so that I can duplicate to so many more people than I thought possible. So I wanted to give you that, like, do not think that just by defining to one thing, you are not helping everybody, because in all of us spreading our elevation, our awareness, like it is going to continue to spread. Just like everything else has spread, this will spread as well. And Angie, I'm probably gonna cry a little bit.
Girl.
I think only a limited amount of people know, but I did graduate from a shelter with my mom as well. And I was taken from my mom for excessive hitting as well for a year. So I just remember thinking of that vision or that memory, that moment in my life, and seeing as like an obstacle. But when I heard you talk, it was even much more clear for me of how that can be used as a strength of how I can grow. Because I see beautiful Angie that is here, that is just such an amazing speaker, that I'm like, it's amazing. Like we can see that as a growth, or we could use it to, and I no longer choose to view those memories as like, oh, poor Miriam, or this is what Miriam went through. This is what Miriam elevated through. And now let me teach other women to understand that we can overcome this. It is just a different mindset that we have to learn and grow through. But
Miriam, you hit it right on the head. It's the mindset. I could have stayed in, oh, I was embarrassed, I was ashamed how everybody was talking about. I almost forgot about that moment that those ladies asked me to do something like that. Wow. So it is a mindset. So I love that you shared that, Miriam. Thank you so much. Alyssa, hey girl.
Hi, everyone. I'm loving this conversation. But what really resonated with me, and I know Emily just left, but it was what she talked about in themes, because as I was thinking about everything we're talking about and my purpose, when I was a kid, I always knew that I wanted to work with kids. And then I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And so I was like going down this whole path of that. But now I just graduated to be a speech therapist, and I want to work with kids. But I've always then had people kind of in the background, even family, like my dad, being like, oh, don't do that because there's no money in working with kids. But it just kind of made me reflect again on, no, like that's something that I'm really passionate about. And I've always loved supporting children since I myself was a child. So why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I continue to go for that? And then I was just reflecting too on why I chose speech therapy. And I was always a shyer child and kind of listened more than I spoke. So I feel like then my passion around speech therapy and helping people communicate was like that it's important to share your thoughts and feelings and get out what you want to say. So I just love talking about this chapter and like thinking and reassuring and reaffirming for myself why I chose a path, and that even if it's evolved from me thinking that I wanted to teach to something more specialized like speech therapy, that thread and theme has always been supporting children and families. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Alyssa. I love when we get information that reinforces something that we really feel, and all we need is just that supporting information to keep us going in that same direction. So I'm glad that you got something from that chapter. And Noor is about to take it, she's about to wrap it up. Noor.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So just to confirm, I was a few minutes late. We're talking like about our purpose and where we're headed with our purpose and things like that. Okay, so I'm happy to say that I actually have examples of living out my purpose and how it effectively works. And the only thing that really can like grow my purpose is me accepting new knowledge. So I was really happy when someone in the meeting said, like, you have to keep reading, and that's helping me sharpen my purpose like so beautifully. I love that. And I also love how, as I was thinking my purpose in my mind and it was articulating so beautifully, you guys were all saying things about children, the children, and that is like one of the roots of my purpose. How do I explain it? It was worded so great in my head just now. So I do believe that my purpose is to like bridge the gap between most of the disenfranchised youth and where they're really supposed to be. I feel like during my journey, based on my first conversation with Bree to where I am now, I didn't realize that it's because of a developmental lack or abuse why I didn't know I had a purpose. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. So a lot of people that are in the system, like, you know, people in juvenile hall, even people in prison and jail and things like that, they're some of the most creative and smart and beautiful people. Some of them, you know, the ones that didn't do anything too crazy, and they just never had a chance really because they had a mindset that was so set and fixed, and they weren't developed, and they were just kind of set up in a way. And then I already know how the system is. I work in it. So I already identified the holes and cracks as an adult. But as a child, I was already knowing my purpose. Like when I was 8 years old, I used to think about all the people that aren't supposed to be in prison. And what if they just had a chance? What would they do if they had a second chance? And I have just talked to so many people that I realized, like, man, these are good. Like, these people just don't know. And like, if they have like a hands-on mentor coach, like, hey, what do you like to do? What do you like to eat? You know, like I have a catering business. You just may never know that they may realize that they like something that you have going on, and then they could feed off of it. So my goal, once I finish organizing, you know, the specifics, is to have not only my nonprofit that has like a set of resources to help with like mental health, housing, like anything you could, like drug problem, whatever problem you have, whatever landed you in your situation, I want to have like a real clean cut, concise program to help, in addition to continuing my other purpose, which is just really excuse me, sorry, which is just demonstrating love and kindness, because a lot of people in my life, they stay coming back to me based on how I make them feel and ask me for things. And I notice that I do uplift and help others to where they take off and we don't talk for years, but based on whatever seeds I planted, or just even something as simple as how you make someone feel, that could be your purpose too. And that's why it's very important for me to continue on my journey and continue growing, because I realize the stronger I get, the more I'm able to live on my purpose. And that's a fact. And the children have so much potential that I just want to start with mine because my daughter, Kalia, is the one that helped me heal. I didn't even realize things up until she was born. And I just can't believe when I think about it. And that's how I know that children are so precious and they're born a certain way. And over time, with their environment and what they're being taught, there's potential for things to not, you know, be the best as it can be. So I just really want to bridge the gap, show. I don't even want to talk. I want to like explain and demonstrate to a very specific group of people that not a lot of people look towards that direction. I want to let them know, like, hey, maybe you just didn't know any better. Now here's a chance. Like, what do you like to do? It's very deep, and I can get deep. I just don't have time into it. But that's basically the premise of it, just providing hands-on support, enlightenment, and inspiration to that very specific group of people, and also helping them get through the system, which I already know how they, you know, corner people sometimes. And I just want to help them have the capacity to get through certain situations also. And then that way they can live out their purpose once they're done getting through what they're getting through. It's not easy stuff. It's a lot of difficult stuff people go through. I don't even know. Like, it's a lot.
Thank you for sharing that, Noor. And if anybody has a chance and has a pencil and or pen handy, look up Liberation Health Triangle, because that is what came to mind when you was talking, that sometimes when we have adversities in our life or things get in our way, there are different cultural, societal, and environmental things that we have to overcome. But that Liberation Health Triangle is what came to my mind when you was talking about it, because once we get the awareness, we can realize that those other things don't have to stay in our way. We still have choices. So thank you for that, Noor. Noor was our last one to share, because we're over time now.
Hey, yeah, we're gonna wrap this. We're gonna wrap
Yes.
this up. Sydney, you can send a voice text in, or is it quick?
Yeah, I was just gonna say domesticated. I that's the word that comes to mind, is the kids being domesticated and us breaking through. So you're valuable. That's it.
All right, 110%.
Yes.
And Alyssa, small-minded people can't see past many things. So anybody saying you can't get paid doing what you're doing, right? It's small-minded thinking, because there's celebrity with kids that need help and they'll pay you whatever to help them.
Exactly.
So, all right, y'all. Amazing call, Angie. Thank you for leading this call. It's been
No
beautiful.
problem.
Angie does a great job with leading these book meetings, man. Boy, I tell you. All right, y'all. I love you. I care
Love you
about
too.
you. And I will see y'all Friday morning. Rebecca, it's good to see you. It's good
All
to
right.
see you. All right,
Bye.
y'all. Peace.